So of course, drama surrounding Elon Musk and his buyout of Twitter is continuing, and it's going to continue for a few more months at least. Now this is fully expected because he's being sued by Twitter to try and get him to transact at the original confirmed deal. Twitter want him to abide by his original $44 billion offer, and Elon of course doesn't want to abide by it because he says that Twitter's fraud regarding their daily active users metric that they have now admitted to lie about for 3 years voids their agreement. They're going into court, and within about 3 months or so, we should know in its finality what exactly will happen. There will of course be updates along the way, and this week is no different. So today I'm going to give you all a brief update on what we've just found out, what is happening and why it's all important. So what actually is the news? What's the headline? Well, as you can see from this tweet here, Elon just sold $6.9 billion worth of Tesla shares, and that means that he's now sold $32 billion worth of Tesla shares over the last 10 months. Now, how do we know this? Well, from some legal forms and filings that he put out where he revealed that he just sold under 8 million shares at an average price of $869 per share, meaning the total sale number is around about 6.9 billion. Now, the sales took place over the last week, as you can see on August the 5th, the 8th and the 9th, but we only just found out about this all today. Now, this was all revealed by Sawyer Merritt on that tweet right there, and he then went on to ask Elon Musk, is he selling? And Elon had this to say. Yes, in the hopefully unlikely event that Twitter forces this deal to close and some equity partners don't come through, it's important to avoid an emergency sale of Tesla stock. So that pretty much explains it perfectly. He wants to prepare for if he has to buy Twitter against his wishes, and he needs some extra cash available, and almost all of his assets and net worth is in Tesla shares, so it makes sense that he's going to have to sell some. A fire sale of Tesla stock would obviously be undesirable. That would have a big impact on the share price of Tesla itself, and so it wouldn't really be good for anyone. So this is just Elon being a little bit proactive, or at least this is what he wants everyone to think. Now, how did Tesla's share price react to this news? Well, on the days that actually these sales by Elon were made, Tesla's share price fell by about 9% over the 3 days. But it is, of course, hard to say whether or not that is actually due to him in particular. It is an incredibly volatile stock, as we all know. Compared to normal Tesla activity, the share price falling or even gaining by 9% over 3 days really isn't anything special at all. So what about how has Tesla's share price changed since we got news of Elon's stock sale? Well, we only found out about this earlier today, and so far today, Tesla's share price is up by about 2.2%. Elon said that he's done selling, which is going to be a good sign to any potential Tesla investors, and he gave a good excuse for selling as well, so investors seem happy with what they saw. They seem to think that Elon is still steadfast in his conviction behind the performance of Tesla into the future. Now, we also got some very minor news out about Elon's and Twitter's court fight. Twitter have come out and subpoenaed a bunch of people. They want some information from them regarding this court case. And the big one is, of course, Larry Ellison, as you can see from this article here. He is the multi-billionaire founder of Oracle, which is a massive over $100 billion tech firm. He's a close personal friend of Elon Musk as well, and he's personally contributing $1 billion to Elon's buyout deal of Twitter as a partner. As of yet, we don't know exactly what information Twitter wants from him, but we will probably find out soon enough. This really isn't any major news though. Now that's it for actually what happened over the last day or so, but there are some problems underneath the surface which are encapsulated by this new news. The first is that Elon's Twitter deal and the way he's behaving in general seems to be damaging Tesla at least to a little bit. Now this happens in a few different ways. The first is just simply he's selling an awful lot of Tesla shares, and he has been for about 10 months now, and this is creating selling pressure. Elon has owned his Tesla stock for over a decade now, and he is of course the largest single shareholder. He's the founder and the CEO, and having that kind of person with that kind of authority over a company holding stock and never selling, of course, helps to keep the share price high. The problem is that over the last year or so, Elon has actually started to sell his Tesla shares for the first time ever, really. It of course started in late 2021 when Elon had a big tax bill. He performed really well for that prior year, and so he was given loads of shares in a options based format. This article behind me here is from December 2021 when this whole thing started off. Now Elon had about $11 billion worth of tax that he had to pay, and almost all of his wealth is of course in the form of Tesla stock or SpaceX stock, and so he had to sell something to pay those taxes, and Tesla is the public company. Now, whether or not that is actually true is a more difficult question. That is what Elon claims to be true, though. There are lots of different ideas going around, almost conspiracy theories, claiming that other motives were behind his actions. He was, of course, selling his Tesla shares near the peak price of Tesla, between $1,000 and $1,200 during this first time, and some people argued that he wasn't actually selling to pay taxes, he just wanted to sell some shares. The markets were near the top. He was predicting a 2022 recession as well, and so it's just a little bit suspect, and some Tesla investors got a little bit annoyed at him, and maybe they started to think that Elon was lacking resolve when it comes to helping and ensuring that Tesla can perform into the future. This really was, though, a minority of Tesla investors, at least in my opinion. I think the vast majority of them pretty much just brushed this news off and didn't think too much of it. Of course, though, his sales of Tesla's shares didn't stop there. A few months later in 2022, we got the same kind of story again. This article here is from February of 2022, and this time he started selling shares to finance his purchase of Twitter. And of course, there were more ideas about whether or not that's his real motive behind selling Tesla stock. People were casting doubt onto whether or not he actually wanted to buy Twitter in the first place. They made accusations that this was just an excuse to sell more Tesla shares at extremely high prices, and they were predicting that this deal would fall through and it would never come to fruition. This theory was a little bit more popular than the last one, and ever since we got news that actually the deal was likely to fall through, well, even more people started to believe this idea. Many people now say and firmly believe that he never had any intention to buy Twitter at all, and it was all just a scheme to sell his Tesla shares at the top without annoying his fans or investors. Now, personally, I'm really not too sure if this is the case, because I think his desire to own and change Twitter is real. Maybe he just had the added bonus of being able to sell Tesla shares at an insanely high price. Then that, of course, brings us to today, where he's selling Tesla stock again. This time around, though, it's the same accusation being launched out at him. People saying that he's just bailing out of Tesla, that he isn't confident it's going to remain this expensive into the future, and he wants to cash in now. Again, I'm really not too sure. His excuse does seem very legitimate in my opinion. If the court case goes against him, which that is entirely possible, he will need cash to buy Twitter, and it's of course better for him to sell some shares in advance, bit by bit, rather than all at once in a fire sale, which will have massive consequences on Tesla's share price. Now, of course, it's also worth mentioning that the Twitter court case is not over by a long shot, and we shouldn't be deluded into thinking that it is. Let's be clear here, Twitter is guilty of lying about the bots and about their monetizable daily use account, which they published for years. They've already admitted that. It's 100% truth. There were also a bunch of other concerns around Twitter and its corporate culture. We just got news out yesterday as well that an ex-Twitter employee has been convicted for spying for the Saudi Arabian government. The details of this case aren't really too important. It's bad stuff and it's unsurprising, but basically he just started giving away anonymous data of people who were criticizing the Saudi Arabian government to the Saudi Arabian government. He's got 10 to 20 years in jail coming for him, and my only point behind this is that this isn't a clear-cut case, and there are different arguments to be made on various sides, and we shouldn't expect this court case to be over as soon as it starts. Now, my big caveat there is that I am not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer specialized in mergers and acquisitions, and neither is anyone else here on YouTube. Even the actual lawyers that you see here on YouTube are a fraction as proficient as the lawyers that are being employed by both Twitter and Elon Musk. And it's also worth remembering how these lawyers have reacted in the past. I remember prior to the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case, every lawyer on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and every other social media case was saying that it was impossible for Johnny Depp to win, and all of them in the end were wrong. And these are the exact same people telling you right now that it's impossible for Elon Musk to win this deal as well, so we should at least keep an open mind here. Now, the impact to Tesla's share price isn't the only direct effect that we're seeing Elon have right now. It's also entirely possible that Tesla's reputation as a firm and actually its future sales are being impacted not only by what Elon's doing with Twitter, but just how he's behaving in general. Now, there are early and unconfirmed reports that Tesla's fundamental business is starting to suffer, but it is too early to say if this is true or not. We can, though, look at some anecdotal evidence. Go on somewhere like Reddit and look at anything regarding Elon Musk 2 years ago, and he was the most popular person ever. He was loved by all. He was practically the patron saint of that website, and he was changing the world according to their narrative. Take a look at anything that Reddit has to say about Elon Musk today, and it's the absolute total opposite. He is hated viciously, he's destroying the world, he's everything wrong with the world, and by proxy that means that Tesla is awful and evil as well. Tesla's biggest market is of course California. It's tech bros, it's young professionals, it's the very people who used to love everything Elon had to say a couple of years ago, but now hate him and hate his bastion of free speech thing that he keeps going on about. So it is certainly possible, at least on a theoretical basis, that this at some point starts to affect Tesla's business. This highlighted passage from this article from Bloomberg summarizes it quite well. Creative Strategies, a California-based customer experience measurer, mentioned owner frustration with Musk in a study it published in April. A year earlier, research firm Elon found Musk was the most negative aspect of the Tesla brand among electric vehicle owners surveyed. We hear from Tesla owners who will say, look, I love my vehicle, but I really wish I didn't have to respond to my friends and family about his latest tweet. Now, to be perfectly clear, there is not enough evidence to actually claim that Tesla's performance as a business is being impacted by Elon's actions, and these kind of articles, these kind of claims have been made for years at this point now. Right now, as we speak as well, Tesla is still performing extremely well quarter by quarter. They're still limited by what they can sell by their supply, not by their demand. They are selling every car that they make, and maybe that changes in the future, but that change hasn't come here yet. As for my thoughts on Tesla and Twitter as an investment, well, they're both the same as they've always been. I don't like Twitter as a business, I don't like it as an investment, but there is a potential arbitrage trade there. It's just not something I'm personally invested in because I'm not entirely sure that Elon is going to lose this court case. As for Tesla, well, it's too expensive for me at its current price, and it has been for years now. It's priced for perfection, and frankly, I don't think that the company is actually seeing perfection, even if the performance that it is seeing is still really strong. I'm worried by their focus on the Chinese market and the Chinese production of their vehicles in particular. It seems incredibly naive and short-sighted to me, and I think it will bite Tesla in the arse in a few years. I'd also be worried about Tesla's overpromises that they've been making for over a decade now regarding all kinds of different things like full self-driving, the Tesla Roadster, the Tesla Cybertruck, and the Tesla semi-truck. In short, it's just not the investment for me, but I do sincerely hope that it works out for everyone who has their money in that stock. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to bless the YouTube algorithm. It really does help. If you want to join our exclusive community, then check out our Patreon. You get access to our Discord server and extra content like access to my portfolio and buy and sell alerts for all my own investments. Also, make sure to check out the link in the description to Masterworks. It can help you protect your portfolio against market turmoil through fractional shares of art from world-famous artists. Art has historically proven to be uncorrelated to the markets, so it's a really valuable resource with the markets falling every week. Thank you all for watching. Stay stoic. Until next time.